Coming up on Network Africa, at least 20 people are killed in deadly cyclone saga in the Horn of Africa. The World Health Organization begins Ebola vaccinations in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And former President Robert Mugabe summoned before Zimbabwe's parliament. Welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Mwaka. We begin in Somalia, where more than 20 people are believed to have died and thousands affected after tropical cyclone Saga landed in the Horn of Africa. Heavy rains have caused flooding across the region, with pictures showing people wading through the streets of the Somali capital, Mogadishu. Meanwhile, Abdirahman Ahmed Ali, governor of the Awadal area in the self-declared Republic of Somaliland, says 15 people also died in his region. The United Nations says tens of thousands of people have been affected by the flooding, displacement and the destruction of infrastructure in its wake. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the first set of people are due to receive Ebola vaccinations today, despite its yet-to-be licensed status. The vaccine is the only one targeting Ebola, which has gone through human trials. The research was conducted in Guinea in 2016 with support from the UK Department for International Development. However, it is the first time any vaccine will have been used to control the spread of Ebola. The people close to the identified cases will also be vaccinated. They include their relatives and close contacts, as well as health workers who are treating the patients. Well, back here in Nigeria, the Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima is asking nurses and other healthcare workers to consider the peculiar situation of the state and return to work. The governor made the appeal after visiting some hospitals in Maiduguri, where patients are at the receiving end of the strike. The nationwide industrial action of the Joint Health Sector Workers, JHSO, has been ongoing for several weeks following the deadlock in negotiations with the federal government.
Most hospitals in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, are involved in the treatment of battle-wounded persons, usually evacuated from conflict zones or explosion sites. Hospital facilities are almost always overstretched, as are the staff. It's for this reason that Governor Kashim Shettima wants nurses and health workers in Borno State not to join in the nationwide JHSO strike in order not to compound the already chaotic situation. At the Mohammed Shahuru Hospital, known as Nursing Home, the governor commends student nurses for rising to the occasion.
We are being buffeted from all angles by the security challenges. We don't have to compound our security challenges with a labor unrest. Our people need them. They have to serve God and humanity by not joining this JHSO strike and coming back to work.
But JHSO officials of the hospital maintain they are not unaware of the peculiarity of the state, adding that they have all emergency spots covered.
I collected the letter that specified the critical areas. Is because of this special situation that the Borno State happens to find itself. The critical areas like emergency unit, the labor theater, and the labor room. So these are the areas that the state executives and the governments agree that we should relax in this area as a case of emergency only.
The hospital authority says patients are already feeling the absence of the striking nurses.
We have different cadres of patients. We have patients that requires immediate attention, that require immediate medical intervention, while others are stable patients that are coming and going back home as outpatients. So for the stable patients, or for those that require admission in the ward, either surgical or medical ward, are actually affected. Those group of patients are affected because they need a very close monitoring of nurses and midwives if it involves maternity complex.
In the meantime, the State's Ministry of Justice has advised the Hospital Management Board to open attendance registers for nurses in all hospitals. An impending no work, no pay position looms for the striking workers.
And a 36-year-old Nigerian man, Christopher Omoike, has allegedly jumped from his 9th-floor apartment in Johannesburg to avoid arrest. There are still conflicting accounts as to the events that led to the invitation of the police to his apartment, but his flatmate, a Nigerian man, and his girlfriend say that he was trying to avoid arrest following an alleged violent attack on a Nigerian lady who has a child for him. The Nigerian Consul General, Godwin Adama, visited the scene of the incident on the invitation of the police.
I got a message from that a Nigerian had just unfortunately died by suicide. We were told that the previous night he had been very worried because he was having challenges with the lady that had a baby for him, the Nigerian, and had seized her phone. Later on that night or so, when they met in struggling to get the phone or something, she beat her with maybe bottles or whatever, I don't know. On the basis of this, the roommate, Oscar, as part of his testimony, took her to the police station to make a report about the fact that she was battered, beaten, and was flowing with blood. And based on this, police now were invited to come to him. And while they were there, he was there with the South African lady, the girlfriend. And the South African lady said when he had told her that if police came here, he was going to kill himself. The police told me that the most important thing first is to establish the fact that police did not directly do anything to him to cause what happened, other than the report that was made to the police to come in by Nigerians, his fellow Nigerians, including his roommate. And that today they will be doing the autopsy to see exactly what has led to the death. And that after the autopsy, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate will now hand over the case fully to other police investigators to continue with the investigation on the matter.
The use of drugs in Africa is a growing concern, and in particular the access and use of tramadol. Tramadol is a synthetic drug used to treat moderate to severe pain. The opioid medication requires your brain in responding differently to pain. It also makes the patient more susceptible to addiction. Here in Nigeria, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency impounded 4 tons of tramadol capsules at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. The substance, with a dosage range of 125 to 225 milligrams, is equally above the recommended 50 and 100 milligrams. The product was handed over to the National Agency for Food, Drugs Administration and Control by the Customs Area Controller. Our correspondent Bukola Juoketumbi reports.
Drug trafficking is a global illicit trade involving the manufacture, distribution and sale of banned substances.
It's an interesting seizure.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the war against drug trafficking is on. Here are the Special Area Command at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Various seized substances are on display.
But what they did, in order to beat the security at the airport, they dropped it out neatly and they stuck it in here. And they also packed it with carbon and foil paper. The essence of that is to beat the scanning machine, because the scanning machine light, which is the ray, cannot pass through it. When you hit it, it reflects back, so it gives you a blank image. Take inside for you.
In 2017 alone, about 51.5 kilogram of cocaine, 53.9 kilogram of heroin, cannabis sativa weighing 96.6 kilogram, and methamphetamine weighing 13.2 kilogram were seized with a street value of over £1 billion. The man in charge of the agency gives the breakdown for the first quarter of 2018.
A total of 187.22 kilograms. That is what we've been able to arrest. That is from January to April.
Beyond this, tramadol now appears to be the new bride for traffickers, and about 4,000 kilograms of a particular consignment was seized through an intelligence tip-off. The consignment contains dosages of 120 milligram and 225 milligram, which exceeds the national minimum of 100 milligram.
A lot of drugs ordinarily they are okay, but if you take it above the dose or you use it for other things other than what it is meant for, it's abuse. So that's just where it's harmful to.
While drug trafficking undermines development by eroding social and human capital, the NDLEA says it has obtained 59 convictions in the court as it continues its responsibility of reducing drug trafficking to the barest. Bukola Jokitumbi, Channels Television News.
To politics now. In Burundi, the results of a constitutional referendum is expected later today. The vote, which took place on Thursday, could see President Pierre Nkurunziza's rule extended to 2034. Mr. Nkurunziza is a former rebel leader who came to power at the end of Burundi's ethnically charged civil war in 2005. His run for a controversial third term in 2015, despite the constitutional limit, set off a wave of violence and an attempted coup, which was foiled by government forces. According to the United Nations, the political crisis led to hundreds of deaths and more than 400,000 people fleeing the country. Zimbabwe's former leader, Robert Mugabe, has been summoned to attend a parliamentary committee hearing on Wednesday. Mr. Mugabe, who was ousted in November after 37 years as president, is being asked to expatiate on comments he made back in 2016 when he alleged that the country had lost $15 billion in revenue from diamond mining. Well, at the time, he said it was due to corruption and foreign exploitation. The parliamentary notice released today said his appearance was subject to confirmation. The 94-year-old has not been seen in public since November, although a few pictures have been released. Saudi Arabia has agreed to release 1,000 Ethiopian nationals who have been in prison in the Gulf state for a variety of offences. Ethiopian state-affiliated media says the decision was made following a request by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who was in Riyadh on an official visit. Hundreds of thousands of Ethiopian nationals live in the Gulf region, mostly in Saudi Arabia. Also, officials in Riyadh are in the process of deporting more than 500,000 illegal Ethiopian migrants. So far, 160,000 have arrived back in the country. And almost 200 Africans have applied for asylum in Australia after travelling to the country for last month's Commonwealth Games. Spokesperson for the Home Affairs Department, Melissa Golightly, told a parliamentary hearing that so far 190 applications have been made, while another 15 athletes or support staff have applied for other types of visas in the capital, Canberra. Ms. Golightly added that another 50 or so remain missing. It is reported that they are from Cameroon, Uganda, Rwanda and Sierra Leone. A Kenyan restaurant at the center of a row over breastfeeding has hit back at claims that its staff told a mother to nurse her baby in a toilet. Now, the Olive Hotel says a CCTV footage disapproves the mother's allegations. According to the breastfeeding mother, she was twice asked to stop breastfeeding after ordering her food at the Nairobi eatery. Then it was suggested she nursed the child in a toilet. But the restaurant says the footage shows her laughing and smiling after chatting to one member of staff and did not leave the restaurant until she had finished her meal and had a cup of hot water. However, the management of the restaurant have asked for the woman to come forward so that they can get to the bottom of what happened. Still to come on the program.